Hey, welcome back to our channel. So I recently went Uber driving in Lakeland, Florida. So you guys know I live in the Sarasota metro. I ended up in Lakeland by catching a ride out of Sarasota to the Tampa airport. It was a group of young kids from Houston, Texas that were vacationing. So I took them to the airport. They gave me a $7 tip. And then we picked up a guy at the same exact terminal, maybe like two numbers up. And this guy was heading to Lakeland. I took the ride. I was happy. I know in Tampa it's difficult to get rides out of the airport because there's so many Uber drivers, so I wasn't going to miss the opportunity to get another long ride. So we take one long ride from Sarasota to Tampa, from Tampa to Lakeland. When we're leaving the Tampa airport, there was this incredible thunderstorm looming over downtown Tampa. We finally drive through the rain and make it to Lakeland, Florida. Now this person tipped me with Polish money that he had left over from his trip to Poland. So it wasn't like this guy actually tipped me. He's just kind of, well, he said he was having a bad day, and he was very stressed out by the airport and circumstances at the airport. So I was worn out after I dropped him off. I stopped at the gas station, got some fuel, got some water, and I hung out for about 10 minutes to relax. What's up, everybody? We are in Lakeland, Florida, and we are Uber driving at night, Polk County. So right now we are right across from Plaza Mexico on the south side of the city. I already had one ride come up, but they were going to Orlando, and that's 45 minutes in the wrong direction. So far I've been waiting for about 5 minutes and nothing's came through here. So we are right now just south of Lakeland waiting for these Polk County passengers to come about. So nothing happening right now on the app. We're just sitting here in this parking lot waiting for passengers. We'll see what it's like to Uber drive in Lakeland, Florida at night. I came in at around 9 o'clock and there was a lot of activity, but it seems like it's really died down quite a bit. It's now 10:40 at night, so I mean the map is blue, but there's really nothing happening. Let's see if we can get another ride and get on the road. I just got my first passenger. The rider canceled. Okay, never mind. Well, literally right there, but he canceled. He canceled. He was literally right there. Dang it, Polk County down there. Tell you, you don't cancel on me like that. I was gonna make some money. But he canceled. It is what it is. But there is a Walmart right behind me. So this is actually a good area. There's a Walmart there, but... So I had eaten at Plaza Mexico. Now the portions are huge. I actually had a lot of food left over. Good food that I hadn't touched. So I found somebody that was literally a minute away. That's how long it took for me to find a homeless person in Polk County. A minute. Literally, I got out of that red light from in front of the Plaza Mexico, and right there was like homeless guy sitting on the sidewalk with a book bag and a bicycle. And I said, hey man, I got all these. I had chips, I had salsa, I had all this fajita meat that I didn't touch. You know how they put the fajita meat on a different plate? So it's like food that I hadn't even touched, and I felt really bad throwing it out. So I took it home in a little to-go box, and I was like, how long will it take me to find a homeless person in Polk County that needs a meal? Literally 1 minute outside the restaurant, we found somebody who took the meal happily. So I'm glad I was able to share with him, but it just goes to show how much need and necessity there is in Polk County, Florida, where it only took 1 minute to find a homeless person who accepted a free meal. So let's talk money. How much money did I make driving in the Lakeland area? So the first ride that I took was from Sarasota, from a bus stop in Sarasota to the Tampa airport. That was technically money I made in Sarasota. It came out to $43 because there was a $7 tip and a $1 toll. Talking about tolls, one of the nightmares of Uber driving in Lakeland seemed that most of the roads we were on were either interstates or toll roads, and usually Uber doesn't pay you enough money for the toll, so you actually take a loss if you end up on a toll road. Give you an example, the Skyway Bridge costs $1.75, and they only paid me $1.07 for the toll, which means if you're an Uber driver and you end up on a toll road, you actually end up losing money for doing that. So without a doubt, the most particular thing about driving in Lakeland is the fact that you are on a lot of toll roads and a lot of interstates, which is kind of interesting because most of the Uber driving you do, you stay away from the major highways. But in Polk County, they really have an infrastructure problem, and they have to be between Tampa and Orlando, which means that during the daytime, traffic is immense. Thus, even though you're actually in the city of Lakeland, you end up on major highways all the time. It's a really weirdly laid out city. The highways here make absolutely no sense, and I guess that's kind of one of the particular features of Uber driving in Lakeland, being on toll roads. Now, that ride from Sarasota to Tampa took exactly 1 hour, and it was 61 miles to make $43. So you do the math, you're getting paid less than $1 a mile. And that's with the tip. Literally, if you're taking an Uber ride from one city to another, you need to tip your Uber driver. I don't even know why I should have to tell people that. It seems like people act like they don't know that. But yes, if you're taking an Uber driver on a 45 1-hour drive, you need to tip them. For one, they're almost never able to get a ride back to the original destination, which cuts that fare rate in half. So it really isn't worth it. The only reason I do it is to get you guys these YouTube videos, but really these rides from one city to the next, they don't make any ride. I recently saw somebody who was posting on a Facebook group about Uber drivers saying that he got a ride out of Naples to Tampa, 163 miles, and only paid $160, which means this person would have to drive for 4 hours and spend, I don't know, whatever money on gas. In other words, it just simply doesn't make sense to drive from one city to the next. So if you're grabbing an Uber ride and you're forcing that driver to go from one city to the next, you need to tip them. Now, the guy that I picked up at that same terminal and took to Lakeland was only a $30 ride. So get this, I got paid $30 to drive 53 minutes through the rain, 44 miles from Tampa to Lakeland in the rain at night on Interstate 4, all that for $30, and this guy didn't tip me. He gave me Polish money. He says it was equivalent to about $3 worth of Polish money because he said he didn't have US currency, which would make sense, but he said he also didn't know how to use the app. But anyways, at the end of the day, it's really horrendous when you grab an Uber driver and you make them go on these hour-long 45-minute rides and you don't tip them. It's horrendous. It's horrible. But regardless, the only reason I actually took these rides is because I wanted to make videos in Tampa and Lakeland for you guys. So if it wasn't for that, I don't see how this would work out. And then, of course, the person who canceled, that was the first guy when I was waiting in that parking lot. You guys saw me waiting in that parking lot. That guy canceled. He was at the Walmart in South Lakeland. So then the guy that I'm driving right now, this is the guy we ended up going on a toll road. By the way, I only got paid 54 cents for going on this toll road, but I'm pretty sure the sign said like $1 something. So again, when you go on these toll roads, Uber doesn't give you the complete amount. So now we're on Interstate 4. Now this guy was heading to a nightclub or a saloon, I believe, and he was doing a little bit of drinking, which is exactly the scenario you want to be in if you're drinking, is hiring an Uber driver. Now, during this ride, this kid decided that he wanted to vape in my car. Now, this is becoming a repetitive problem with people, especially young people. They don't ask you if they can vape. They start vaping, and then after they vape, then they ask you, oh, is it okay if I vape? You've already started. If you do it again, and you know, these are 10, 20-minute rides. There's no reason why you cannot go for 10 minutes without smoking in somebody's car. It's completely disrespectful. Now, this is exactly the same scenario that got my account deactivated for 11 days a while back. And it seems that what Uber wants you to do is to pretend it's not happening, but you're not going to smoke in my vehicle. And I don't know if I should put up a sign in the car that says if you vape or smoke, you're going to get kicked out. I don't care if you're on the interstate. And it's always on the interstate. It's like they know you can't kick them out on the interstate, so they take advantage of you. So this is a repetitive theme that I'm starting to see already. I haven't had anybody throw up in my vehicle, but I can't wait for that to happen. But the vaping in the vehicle situation, it happens a lot, and it's 15-minute rides. You're telling me that you can't go for 15 minutes without smoking? That's absolutely ridiculous. And they always say the same thing. Oh, man, it's not harmful or anything. I'm like, if it wasn't harmful, then why the crap can't you sit in a car for 10 minutes without putting that freaking stick in your mouth? Clearly, you're addicted to this thing. If you can't sit for 10 minutes still, you have to disrespect somebody else because you can't sit still for 15 minutes without putting the stick in your mouth. Clearly, it is addictive, and clearly, it is having an effect on you. But, of course, people are stupid, and they don't listen, and well, they're in denial about the reality of the fact that they're stuck to this vaping thing. I mean, literally, these people, at least the smokers, do it outside your vehicle. These people are so addicted to this stuff that they can't even go on a 10-minute ride without putting it in their mouth, knowing that by doing it, they're risking pissing off their Uber driver, which could end the ride. And they know that. That's why they go about it in the fashion that they do. Driving on Interstate 4. So this was my only passenger for the day that I had picked up within Lakeland. So he paid $13.82 for a 21-minute ride. That's not really bad. This was at 10:48 p.m. He was going to a nightclub in North Lakeland, and actually it seemed like most of the passengers that I got were heading to different nightclubs in this little area in North Lakeland. Now this guy was going to like a saloon, so it seems like you have kind of a redneck and kind of like American type bar where he was going to. And then the other nightclub we went to a lot is a Spanish nightclub that's a little further north. So in this area of North Lakeland, you have a few nightclubs of different sorts right next to each other. So the next passenger I picked up after him was an $8 ride that took 12 minutes. It was 8 miles. Picked this guy right off of Highway 98, and I took him to a residential address. Now, this second passenger was just a working class kid. I think he was working like at a drive-thru. So I picked him up off of Highway 98 in North Lakeland and took him to his residence. Later on in the evening, I picked up another ride in the same little area, not that far away, and I took him back to a nightclub. Now, this second ride paid $10 for a 22-minute ride, 11 miles. And overall, throughout the whole entire night, I made a total of $40 in Lakeland, Florida, which is not great, but it also isn't too bad. So the first passenger was what I would call a redneck. Then you had the black kid that worked at the drive-thru. Then we had a Cuban kid had just arrived to the United States going to a nightclub. So we had one person leaving work. We had 2 people going to nightclubs. And of course, the retired or elderly person that I brought from the Tampa airport to Lakeland. So those were the passengers that I had, bringing the total to about $70 if you include the airport ride, but $40 for the rides that I did within the city. I think I made about $20 an hour driving in Lakeland because the distances were kind of far between. It seemed like you could actually make a little bit of money Uber driving in Lakeland. It's not the worst market that I've seen. So I have heard that Lakeland was horrendously bad for Uber driving, but it seemed like there was actually enough activity. There were a lot of rides going late at night into Winter Haven. So I think a lot of people that live in Winter Haven come to Lakeland to party late at night. And a lot of the people that I talked to, I'm not going to give you people's information, but a lot of them seemed like they had problems with maybe DUI, suspended driver's licenses, and that seems to be like the thing there in Lakeland. Other than the vaping redneck, it really wasn't too bad. I dropped him off here at this nightclub, and you'll see that there's a police officer stationed here. Now look at this guy's gear. This guy's wearing a military vest, like a bulletproof vest, and he's got like, it says gang unit on it. I was like, whoa, that's pretty scary. I was going to say hi to him, but then I realized he was like decked out for war. I'm talking like, you know, the vest, gang unit. I was like, wow, this is some pretty crazy gear. Let me just not talk to this guy. But you can tell that outside of this particular nightclub, they don't just have a regular police officer. They have like some specialized gang unit to hang out in front of this nightclub. Because as we know, nightclubs have the propensity for people to do very stupid things late at night. So Polk County stepped it up with a gang unit looking type of dude. Overall, I think the passengers were really decent. The last passenger that I dealt with was the Cuban kid. He was a recent arrival, and me and him had a really good in-depth conversation. I think you really do have to record your passengers late at night. They always try to pull the vaping thing. You know, there's always a potential for something to go wrong with these late night passengers. And me and the guy that started vaping, the vaping redneck, we had a great conversation about fishing. It was a good vibe, but it doesn't disregard the fact that he was disrespectful by vaping. And I think what I'm going to have to start doing, as soon as somebody gets in the car late at night, I'm going to tell them, if you vape in my car, you're going to walk home. And I don't care if we're on the interstate, because it seems like late at night, they do this on purpose. And then after they vape, they ask you like if it were cool, like afterwards. You already did it. So it is disrespectful, and I'm having this problem a lot. This is the type of situation that led to my account being deactivated. So definitely a problem. So this was literally an interesting thing, because I had heard Lakeland was really bad for Uber driving. I don't really think it's that bad for Uber driving, and the passengers didn't seem that horrendous. Now, I only got a sample of like 4 to 5 passengers for Lakeland, so that doesn't really mean that if you Uber there more consistently, you're not going to run into problems. But at least for the people that I dealt with, it didn't seem like they were the worst possible crowd of passengers you could have had. It seemed, well, fairly decent. I did notice something interesting, though, about the passengers in Lakeland. They were all males. And that's interesting because in Sarasota and Bradenton, the vast majority of passengers are actually females. And I have a theory, and it doesn't really sound nice, but I do have a theory on why this could be the case. I think because Lakeland is a poor city, a lot of the women are actually going to get with a guy just so they can have financial security, you know, like the whole exploitative baby mama situation. Where in Sarasota, because guys have more money, they feel like they don't need a woman, which means a lot of women who are financially incapable can't find a guy. So it seems like the real estate market for females in Sarasota is in the pits, and the real estate market for male in Lakeland is in the pits. So that's kind of the difference that I see between passengers in Lakeland versus along the coast. Along the coast, most of your passengers are female, but when you get into these rural towns, a lot of the passengers are males. And there's usually like something to do with like I got a DUI, or my license is suspended, or I haven't even got my license yet because I'm a new arrival, something along those lines. But yes, there's a huge difference in that most of my passengers here were males, where in Sarasota and Bradenton, it's actually females that have low real estate value. Which means that for the most part, most of your problematic passengers in Sarasota are going to be females. But here, it seems like the more problematic passenger could actually be the males, because the real estate value of females in this particular area is actually higher than males. So the dating scene in these cities is weird. Like, I literally saw guys going to nightclubs looking for girls by themselves, where in Sarasota, it's the other way around. It's girls going to nightclubs looking for guys. So these cities far inland, it's the guys looking for chicks, but in the coast, along the beaches, it's the females that go looking for guys. So very different dating scenes in this city. And even a lot of people that I talked to that were going to the nightclubs are telling me stuff along the lines of they try to bring people from other cities to kind of mix up the inbreeding they got going on there in Polk County. And once again, like literally every single passenger I had this night ended up going on an interstate or a toll road, which is kind of frustrating if you're an Uber driver. I don't like getting on highways and with passengers, and it's kind of weird that literally almost every single passenger I had ended up on an interstate or a toll road. That's definitely not good for the Uber driver, but it's just the way the city's laid out. Very strange configuration for a city. I did have to cancel the ride for the last passenger. So like I told you, late at night I was trying to get a ride back to Tampa or Sarasota so that I could make money on the way back. Unfortunately for me, all the rides were either going into Orlando or Winter Haven. And the last ride, Uber has this thing where if you're already on a ride and you accept a ride, you can't see the destination. So I actually accepted the ride knowing that it was a $30 ride, which means it was a long distance drive. I was really hoping it would be heading west or south. Well, it turns out it was heading north into Orlando. Now, I texted the person. I said, hey, this is your Uber driver. Can you tell me the final destination, because I need to know which direction you're going in? So despite the fact that I texted her and I even called her through the Uber app to make sure, because, you know, she's got to wait 15 minutes for me to finish this ride before I can get to her, but I can't see her destination. So I tried reaching out to her. She was on the app. She was looking at these messages, but she wasn't replying, and she was actually heading to the Orlando airport. When I showed up, I said, hey, Miss Person, where are you heading? She's like, well, I'm heading to Orlando. I'm like, did you see the phone calls? Did you see the notifications? She's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, you're going to Orlando. I can't take the ride. And I canceled the ride, and she got really irritated, but it was her fault because I did call her. I did message her. She didn't reply. She didn't communicate with me. And on the Uber app, if the person doesn't have a passenger, they can see your destination. But if they already have a passenger, then they can't see the destination. And if you're driving late at night, it was already like 2 in the morning. I can't drive another 30 minutes north because that's going to be an hour more added to my road trip to get back to where I'm going. It was already like 2 in the morning. So unfortunately for her, I had to cancel the ride after she waited 15 minutes, which I can see her aggravation, but at the same time, had she answered the calls or text messages and just said Orlando, I would have canceled the ride and she would have only waited, you know, whatever the next driver would have charged to wait, you know? All right, guys, so we are almost to our passenger here. I'm not exactly sure where, oh, this is, okay, my bad. Está bien, vamos. Tira para atrás, ¿no?
Turn left on Loop Road.
¿Cuánto centro, por favor? Okay, bueno, sí, yo llevo aquí desde niño. All right, everybody, so we dropped this kid off at a nightclub here, kind of like on the north side of Lakeland.
Half-mile turn right on Markham Road using the right lane.
It is now 1:30 in the morning, and we're gonna go pick up what I think is the last person of tonight, I think. I messaged the person what their final destination was, and they didn't get back to me. The Uber app, if you already have a passenger, doesn't let you see what the next passenger is gonna be, which is kind of detrimental because you need to know. Like, I accepted it because it was a long ride, but I'm hoping it's in the direction I'm going, but I don't really know where this person's going. I messaged the person asking them which way they're going, because if you have one passenger and you get a second ride, you don't know where your next ride is going to go. Okay, so if you already have a passenger and you accept a ride, the next ride, but it doesn't show you their destination. So hopefully this person is heading in the same general direction we're heading, because otherwise it's going to be kind of problematic for me if this person's heading, let's say, in a direction I'm not going. Because this late at night, I'm not going to drive into Orlando, let's say. So hopefully this person's heading into Tampa, let's say.
Quarter-mile turn right.
I already tried calling the person and messaging them, but they didn't get back to me. Let's see if we can figure out. I can't see if it's on the left or the right because it's too dark. It's very dark out here. I don't know which house it's going to be. Hey, how are ya? Hey, quick question. Which direction are you heading in? Which direction are you heading? Tampa or Orlando? Orlando? I can't take it to Orlando because I'm going back to Tampa. I'm so sorry. I'll cancel it on my end, okay? I'm sorry. I messaged you and it wouldn't let me see it. I'm so sorry. I can't head that late because I live in Tampa and I've been out all night. I'm so sorry. I tried messaging you. I don't know if it didn't go through. Let me go offline. I hate doing that to this lady. But I did message her. I asked her which direction are you heading. She didn't answer. So it's kind of on her on that end. I did ask her. I said, hey, which direction are you heading? And I can't go to Orlando this late at night. It's a long ride, man. 30 minutes in the other direction. I just can't do it. I feel really bad for her. But I messaged her and she didn't reply. I mean, I'm already in Lakeland. Like, I've already taken rides, too many rides in the wrong direction. It does lower. There's no light here. What's going on here? This light is dead. It's turned off. There's no power at the same. I'm gonna use the bathroom and wait for another ride that's going the way I'm going, or just start driving home. I really hate that this happened, but again, it's not like I messaged her. I said, hey, you know, which direction are you heading? All right, guys, and that is what it's like to drive in Lakeland, Florida. I don't think it's the absolute worst scenario for an Uber driver, but it definitely doesn't seem like an area where you're going to get a lot of tips or a lot of money. It's a very impoverished area, very little tourism. Most of the passengers are locals, which means tips are going to be less. And of course, you're not going to get those crazy surges like we get in the coastal community. So I would give it a 5 out of 10. I guess you could do it here, but you're never really going to make great bank in Lakeland, Florida. So definitely not the worst, but definitely never going to be a better or best type of place to Uber drive. It seems like Uber driving here would definitely not make a crap load of money. I did manage to make $40 in an evening, which is not a lot, but it's at least something, right? Not a single person that I picked up in Lakeland, Florida left a tip, and that's a little disappointing. But it's also not a surprise considering that we know Lakeland is a very poor place. Usually I get really mad and upset when they don't tip me, but let's be honest, when it comes to Lakeland, Florida, you know they're not going to tip you. It's not a surprise that nobody tipped me. Not even the vaping redneck had a tip. And this marks a first. The first time a redneck doesn't tip me. As you guys know, so far on our channel, rednecks have been the absolute best tippers. And this was the worst redneck encounter I've ever had. I've never actually even had a problem with a redneck passenger. This guy did not tip, and he was vaping. So this would be the most disgruntled redneck I've ever ran into. As you guys know, rednecks are usually my favorite passengers because they always tip you very well. Well, this redneck was the exception to the rule. And the guy that I took to Lakeland from Tampa tipped me with Polish money. Yeah. Let's see where the crap I'm going to do with a $20 Polish. Maybe next time I go to a Polish deli, I'll whip out the 20 Polish and be like, here, I'm paying for my pastries with Polish money, and see if they get a smile out of that, because I honestly have no idea what I'm going to do with this 20 Polish. Now, I will tell you this. You can deposit currency from just about almost every single country in the world into a Bank of America bank account. So you just walk into your bank and you can deposit currency from anywhere. So if you have currency from other countries, unless it's like a Brazilian Cruzeiro or a Cuban peso, which is like against the embargo or whatever, unless it's like something that's just completely irrelevant, you probably, like, I'm sure there's currencies you can't, but like Poland, like a country that's, you know, relevant, you should be able to deposit it into your bank account, and then your bank will transfer the money, it'll convert it, and you'll eventually get like the equivalent deposited into your bank account within like 3 to 4 business days. So let's say you have Mexican money or Canadian money or Polish money in this case, take it to Bank of America, deposit it, and they'll give you the American equivalent, which brings the 20 Polish dollars to a US currency, a total of less than $4 of a tip. So yeah, no tipping in Lakeland. Not a surprise. I'm not even surprised. I kind of expected nobody to tip me here. What I did find surprising is no female passengers. I found that very strange that there were no female passengers for the most part here in Lakeland. It seems like everybody's a male. That's very strange. But every city's different. I think when the economy is as bad as it is in a place like Lakeland, the women know that they have to get a husband and just kind of get their crap together. You know, like we're here in Sarasota, there's a little bit more money, so women are kind of chasing the guys. But here, it's different. Like, and I guess like the real estate market for females in Lakeland is a lot. You know, like I don't know how to explain it, but you get the idea. You get the idea. The guys in Lakeland are looking for chicks, and it's the chicks in Sarasota looking for guys. In the case of the lady that got my account deactivated, she won it right away. And let me tell you, nobody likes a pushy woman from Connecticut wanting to look at your sausage. So, yeah, yes, very disappointing at times how desperate women in Sarasota are. But I don't think women are as desperate in Lakeland. It seems like women in Lakeland are like, yeah, we're just gonna tie the knot right here, so I don't starve. Am I wrong for coming to these conclusions, or am I right? Let me know. But it was strange to see guys going to nightclubs looking for chicks in Lakeland, where in Sarasota, you're more likely to find a guy looking maybe for another guy. You're probably more likely to find a guy looking for another guy in Sarasota than you are to find a guy going out looking for chicks. So definitely the dating scene in Sarasota and Lakeland are two complete different extremes. And, well, that is what it is. And yes, I have had guys bother me a little bit, but they kind of understand when a guy's not interested. There's a difference between girls and guys. Guys, like, they understand that when somebody's not interested, they figure it out really quick. Women have a very hard time understanding that you're not interested in them. Changing the conversation doesn't work. Telling them you're not interested doesn't work. Telling them you're married doesn't work. Telling them, get out of my car, you nasty I'm tired of you being in my car doesn't work either. So they just have a hearing impairment, really, when it comes to rejection. Women in Sarasota, they don't take rejection very well. They actually go on a retaliation against you if you reject them. But I think the women in Polk County are a little bit more persistent in that. They understand if they don't get a guy to be a baby daddy and pay the rent and bills, they're probably going to starve in Polk County. So it's interesting how the economy affects the dating scene in different cities. And it seems like in the case of Lakeland, women really get their crap together pretty quick. I mean, they don't really have too many options out there. Now, who has a lot of options? Definitely rich kids. Rich kids have a lot of options. But I hope they realize that these women are not interested in them. They're interested in their money. And I hope you can see that, because if you don't, you're going to end up with a gold digger. You wouldn't believe how many girls I pick up right here in the Sarasota area where the dude literally called the Uber, and the girls are outside wondering what's happening. He's like, yeah, Uber coming for you, young lady. Please leave the premises. It's over. Whatever happened, and your value as a woman is worthless. Like literally these girls, when they come in my car, and sometimes sadly there's more than one of them, and they're just sitting there like, wow, he kicked us out after that little event. And I'm like, yeah, please close your legs, I'm driving. I don't want to smell that. But the value of women in the Sarasota, because they're paper chasing these guys, they devalue their own property value because they're going out there and they're just looking for guys that have money. The guys that have money aren't stupid. They run through 20 of them, and as soon as they're done, they're calling the Uber to pick these girls up, and these girls are sitting outside like, really? I thought we were going to get married. Like, no. Your only chance of anything, your only chance of ever seeing this guy again is if you got pregnant. And even then, I think you're going to have to fight that in court because, a lot of times these girls don't even know who these guys are. Sad how little value women are placing upon themselves lately. But the ladies of Polk County are a little classier. They're finding a man and staying to him loyally for economical necessity or for whatever the reason. But it is interesting to see, with Uber driving, how you can see how good or bad or horrendous the dating scene is in some of these cities because, sometimes it's the guys looking for girls and sometimes it's the girls. I'm going to guess out west. I don't want to Uber out west, but you get the idea. It's a mess out there. It really is. It's a sad and depressing mess of a dating scene. And as an Uber driver, you also get the people that are breaking up. You got the couples that things didn't quite work out. I recently had one in Sarasota where the girl walked in on her boyfriend with her best friend. And, she packed everything she owned, including the rice cooker, and headed over to another best friend's house. And, she's crying the whole time in the back seat on the phone with her friend, telling her friend every single detail of what happened. I'm sitting here like, if you take an Uber ride and you're going through like a breakup or you caught your boyfriend with your best friend, your Uber driver probably doesn't want to hear the entire details. Like, they were on the bed together and she was doing... I'm like, lady, I don't want to hear what happened. I understand you had a breakup. I'm just driving you from point A to point B, but I don't need to hear every detail of what they were doing. The same thing goes with these girls. Like, they go into these houses. Obviously, it's a rich kid because it's like a mansion on the beach. He's running through them. He kicks them out. As soon as he's done, he's calling the Uber for them. And then they get into the car and they talk about every last detail about what they did inside that house. And I'm like, yo, ladies, hello, I'm here. Like, I don't want to hear how worthless you are, It's like as soon as they get into the Uber ride, without knowing who this Uber driver is, they start getting into details about what they were doing inside these houses. And it's always like, did you see how little... And then the other one's like, yeah, but he's got so much money. Do you think he got us pregnant? And I'm like, ladies, please close your legs. I don't want to smell that when I'm driving. But seriously, like, have some self-respect. First of all, it violates Uber policy for you to have those types of conversations. And it makes the guy uncomfortable. Like, I have never had women make me uncomfortable. And as an Uber driver, almost on a weekly basis, women do things that make me feel uncomfortable. There's the Connecticut sausage lady that wanted Cuban sausage. That made me so uncomfortable. I've never been so uncomfortable in my life. And it's not like they get to talk to you and they flirt a little bit and then they work up to it. It's like, hi, I'm looking for a hot dog tonight. I'm like, yeah, I have a wife, lady. What's your name again? Yeah. It's really sad how little value women place upon themselves these days. It's almost disgusting, literally. And again, it's another violation of Uber's policy. You're not allowed to have those types of conversations as a passenger, yet that's what they do. And at first, it was like, I actually was curious. I wanted to hear what these girls were doing. But when they get in the car and they're like, oh, did you notice how he was trying to... I'm like, yo, whoa. Let's listen to some country music. This is a 5-minute ride. You can discuss your little adventure with each other once I drop you off. at a motel or at a gas station or wherever this guy is sending you, you guys can just wait 5 minutes to have this. It's a 6-minute ride. I don't need to hear. Wait 6 minutes to vape. Wait 6 minutes to tell your friend whatever you did. I, as an Uber driver, don't want to hear it. And literally, how do you get in a car with somebody you don't know and like start talking about all these intimate things? Like, have some self-respect. Like, I tell Katie, you can hit me, but don't hit me in public. You know what I mean? Like, and I tell Katie, like, don't make me look like a fool. Make me look like a fool when we're at home alone, but don't make me look like a fool out in public. Like, what happened to being, like, having self-respect these days? And that's kind of, wow. Like, really, like, give yourself some value. Give yourself some self-respect, people. All right, guys, that's today's video. Check it out.